We are here, break it down, and we are live on your Tuesday evening. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. We will wait for a few more people to join us to get into a very exciting episode called The List. Until then, let's talk about our weekends. How was your weekend? How about I mute? How about I mute? That would be great. How was your weekend?
My weekend. How did it go?
Ooh, the fact that you're even thinking, I feel like there was something going on.
Not much. I worked Saturday a little bit. Not a whole day. It's a little overtime, a little bit there.
Why?
Cut the grass, chilled out on Sunday, and got mentally prepared for. Look at me.
So same thing's happening to you.
Exactly. All right. And then got mentally prepared for court that I had on Monday. So yeah, that was interesting.
How was that without saying too much?
To be continued.
Okay, we'll talk about that offline. Okay then. To be continued. Of course. Yeah, those. You know what's so interesting is I told you for my divorce I never had to go to court.
Lucky you.
Here was the challenge with my divorce though, is it took me, so we got married in 08, separated in 09. Babies, he had babies. I filed for divorce I told him to file for divorce. So he filed for divorce, he sent me the papers, I signed them, I sent them back, didn't follow up, thought he had filed them, only to find out that he hadn't filed them when I came back to Canada because my ex was a US military man. So, and then he told me that he didn't file them because I was the only woman he ever wanted to marry. So why would he divorce me so I can go marry someone else? And I legally didn't get divorced until 2022, despite not actually seeing my husband in person or speaking to him. I spoke to him maybe 4 or 5 times since 09, so 13 years. Took me 13 years to get a divorce, and I had to prove to the courts that I had done everything within my power to find him. So, I had to show private investigation things, attempted texts, emails, all of a sudden, and then they granted me what was called a no-serve divorce, or something similar to that. So I didn't have to legally have to find him and serve him because I'd made all of these attempts before, and then they were able to grant me my divorce. I also was asking for nothing. We didn't have children together. He was a military man, so technically, because of the period of time we were legally married, I was entitled to benefits, but I didn't want them. I didn't earn them. I didn't earn it as his wife, and so why would I go after them? And so it was easy breezy. So hats off to anybody who actually has to go in through a divorce that's contentious. Mine was a long time coming, but it was the easiest paperwork and few $100s I ever spent. Hallelujah. So I pray for you.
Oh, must be nice.
Well, what was great was after consulting a number of lawyers. So I consulted a number of lawyers. And again, I consulted lawyers here in Canada and also in the US, just because the origin of the marriage was in Las Vegas. And my husband is American. So I did on both sides of the border. I even went all the way to Vegas after, just to see, what I could do. If there was an opportunity, I went with some girlfriends, like if I could serve him and have somebody else serve him, all kinds of things. They told me I had to put, like I was searching for him in a newspaper for 30 days. So I had to pay for an ad for 30 days, actually trying to find him. And there was all these complications that they said. And finally, after saying, you know what, I'm not paying these thousands of dollars for something that is just a judge signing something because I don't want anything. Then I found a paralegal who actually was on her shit, and she told me what I needed to do. And I paid her to do the process, which was, think about $800 compared to like the $7,000 to $12,000 I was being quoted to do it. Again, despite the fact that I was asking for nothing. I didn't want anything. I think some of them, like some of the lawyers were trying to say, well, you are entitled to stuff, so maybe you should go after it. And I'm like, but I don't actually want it. Like, I just want to have a legal divorce. So anywho, so I'm sorry, like I went on a rant, but yeah. So for those of you out there who've had to go through a divorce where you've had to battle your spouse, hats off to you, because I don't know if I could do it. In my second marriage, I'm not doing that. In my second marriage, I've said we're gonna have a agreement, just because anything can happen, right? Like, I don't think you went into this marriage thinking you were gonna get a divorce. I don't think I went into mine thinking I was gonna get a divorce. So I think for the second one, I think I almost want us to make an agreement in advance that's airtight, that no matter how pissed and emotional either one of us gets on either side, should it come to that, whatever this agreement says is legally binding, and we can just walk the hell away. I don't want to fight. I don't want to argue. I don't want to do that. Anywho, I digress. As for my weekend, I am looking for a new place to live, and that has been interesting. So that was I am going to say this, and for all you realtors, I'm sorry, but I think real estate agents are useless. I just think that they are useless. And so I had a nice gentleman drive me to some of the places to see what the neighborhood was like, because I think that's key when you're moving, and not enough people do that, like, is to drive around to see the neighborhood and what the neighborhood is like, what it's like on the weekend, what it's like at night, that type of thing. I actually am going to go see one tomorrow that's not far from where I currently live, and after the show I'm actually going to walk down there to see what it's like at night. I mean, I live in a really good neighborhood, so I don't think there should be any issues, but on the way to Tim Hortons, because I want some Timbits as well, I'm going to walk to that address because I'm seeing her in the afternoon, so I'll get to see what it's like at night, and also what it's like in mid-afternoon. In my place that I live in right now, I live in a tiny baby condo. That's what one of my best friends calls it, right? Like that. They make these very small condos now that are just like this small. And the place that I'm moving into, it's a basement apartment, which what I hope to move into. I'll see tomorrow if I actually like it. But it's like almost double the size of what I live in now, but it's less money. Like, not significantly less, but less. And it comes with an extra bedroom and just a lot more space. So we'll see. So that's been interesting. And I also went on a date.
What?
Yeah.
How'd it go?
I actually went on three. One I would call a date, and two I would call meetups. So it's interesting. We promised. I promised you that I was not, you and the audience and myself, that I was taking myself off of online dating, and I was only going to meet people in person. Now, if you slide into my DMs and I like you, then that's a different story. But putting myself on dating sites, I've said that at least for the next year, which takes me into July, end of July of next year, I was not going to online date. So meeting people in person. So the person who took me out, I was actually headed to go meet someone on a professional tip, and I was headed to dinner actually downtown, and he apparently saw me, drove his car, turned his car around, got out of his car, and I had my headphones on because I was actually talking to my daughter, came out of his car to come and pick me up. So at that point, how does a woman say no to that when a man has actually done all of that and actually followed me all the way to the train station? He offered me a ride, but I didn't know him. I was like, I will just take the train. And I thought that was sweet. And then, as my daughter said, he stood on business because he asked me out the next day, and we went out and we, had a great conversation. And then he actually volunteered to drive me to the places that I wanted to see, which was really nice. And then we walked along the beach and had ice cream.
Aww.
It was sweet.
Oh,
Sure, nice. It was nice. I promised that this would be my year of yes. So I think people I would normally say no to, maybe I'll say yes to try something new. I don't know how successful it's going to be considering my list I'm going to read soon. Look at this list. This is how you know this list is old and it's been in my purse. But considering my list, I don't know if there'll be a change in the type of man that I want, but I did say that I would, if a man is going to take the time to ask me out and go through the effort, that I would say yes. And that's what I'm doing. Wish me luck.
Okay. All right. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it. So, the list. This show was inspired once again by something that Twins was talking about last week in our dating tip. Twins is so inspiring, ladies. Just so you know. So I was inspired because in our dating tips, Twins basically said that basically our list could be keeping us single. And I was like, hold on, wait a minute. I'm a 90s girl. I have a list. And I put together my list after my last relationship because I didn't want to maybe make some of the same mistakes. Like, we'll go back to a show where we talk about wants versus needs. And again, while you're here, subscribe, share, like, do the whole thing, press that like button and make sure you're subscribing and sharing this content. Anywho, so yeah, I said, let's do a conversation about lists. But before we get into our list, I'm actually just going to play a bit of a clip from last week's show to give you some insight. And go. But isn't part of being intentional being clear about what it is that I want?
It is. But it is. However, you gotta, like I said, you have to be open to certain things or open to some different things. Still have the core values of what you want, right? But you just can't have things checked off a certain way because it's like, this is not a test. This is not a homework. It's not an assignment. You're not going to get an A+ because no one's going to be perfect.
There's so much conflicting information that we hear on the internet that sometimes you don't know which direction to go. Is a list something that we should have? According to Twins in his dating tip, as women, maybe we need to throw out that list. But again, there's some school of thought or say, well, if you don't have a list, how will you know when this person shows up? And so we will debate this next week when we read our list. Yes.
And we back.
And we actually have one of our very loyal watchers and subscribers, Mr. Mister. He actually provided his list in the comment section of last week's show. So I pulled it up. And should he not actually join us tonight, I will read Mr. Mister's list. I saw a bit of it. I did not read the entire thing. So this will be my first time reading the full thing on the show, but I don't know who wants to start. Just so everybody knows, Twins did not have a list, but I challenged Twins to actually sit and make a list since I had this list that I carry in my purse. And I didn't want to be reading my list alone. So who will go first with their list?
I mean, how about we just go, I guess go back and forth. You say one, I say one, you say one. Let's go back.
Do you see my list?
I mean, it don't have to be everything. You could summarize some things, combine some things. That's a very lengthy list. Okay. Yeah, my list don't look nothing like that. But I tried because I don't have a list.
Okay.
Now, granted, ladies and gentlemen, when I was younger, I did have a list as far as certain things I look for. But as you mature and get older, some of them things were just like, you know what, that wasn't a good idea for me. Some of the things that on the list were good, but I needed more meat on the bone, right? So for example, my old school list, right? Before marriage, before kids, it was 1, see single.
Okay, 2, I would hope so.
Right, see single.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, definitely, of course, single, right. 1 single, no kids.
That makes sense.
Educated.
Got it.
Don't be nothing crazy, but just have a high school or higher degree, whatever. Have have her own place
Mm-hmm.
and has a job and her own car. That was like the basis that I needed, because in my early 20s, a lot of women didn't have those basic things. It seemed like yeah, it seems minimal, but there was a lot of women back then that had a problem. A lot of women were actually pregnant around that time. A lot of them were living with their exes or baby daddies or still married. They was catching a bus. Some, they had a high school degree, but they didn't no attempt to college. They had no drive. So once again, that was an old list that I had now, and now I look at things totally different now, because now I've been married, been divorced, and I'm back on the market, and now I want more meat on these potatoes.
And I was the opposite. I didn't have a list. It just needed to be tall and black. Tall and black.
Tall and black.
Tall and black.
That
I
was,
only did.
that,
I only
that
did
was you
one
in your
thing.
early 20s, right?
Sure.
See, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you. You're supposed to say yes. See, being too honest.
You know, I don't lie. So, sure, okay. And if you ever see my daughter's father, he's tall and black. Sure is. He's tall and black. And so I felt that a list was necessary. And just to give the story about how my list came about. So my girlfriend actually sent me this clip of this, like, I think it's like a shaman. We'll call him a shaman. And he was saying that in order to kind of move forward in life, one of the things that you need is to rid yourself of some of the stuff that you no longer want in life. And so the exercise was to write people on the list that it's almost have to find the clip, but like write people on the list that you need to release, right? So you write a bunch of, either people you need to forgive or people you need to release out of your life and all the things that you need to do. So I wrote this list, and then you were supposed to burn this list, which I did. And then immediately after, you're supposed to actually write the things and the qualities that you would want in a potential partner. And so after burning the people that I no longer, wanted to have attachment in my life, I made this list. So we are about to hear a bit of my list. So we're going to take Twins' idea, and I'm going to go back and forth a bit. And, Twins will comment on my list probably more than I will comment on his, because mine's is lengthy. So I will start. So on my list is, I would like a man who's ambitious, who is generous, who's driven, who's hardworking, who's intelligent. I want him educated. I would like a post-secondary or a graduate degree, who's family-oriented, who's either previously been married, engaged, or has lived with somebody, so I have cohabitation, and is seeking a long-term relationship. So I'm going to pause with that part of my list. What are your thoughts of my list so far, Twins?
What? That's a lot.
I'm sorry, what? There's first of all, I've got a lot of things left on the list.
I know.
That's a lot of things to ask for.
No, and yes, but it's a lot.
I'm just gonna repeat. He's got to have ambition. He's got to be generous. He's got to be driven.
Hold on, stop right there. Okay, so ambitious. So what does that look like?
So, because I want an educated man, I would prefer a man who's in the corporate world. That was my preference. However, I will also take a man who has a trade if he's got a business sense and a business mind, and he just doesn't want to just bang hammers all day long, right? Like, it's not my thing. But I want a man who's not complacent in where he is right now. Like, he's always thinking about where he's going to go next. And so, again, his drive is going to push his ambition because he's so driven to achieve more. He doesn't want to be mediocre. Like, mediocrity is not a thing. So he's, always pushing forward to achieve more, to do more. If he's in a director position, maybe he wants to be the CEO or CEO or chief of something. Whatever it is, his trajectory for upwards, but he should always be looking to go up, not here.
Okay, so to follow up with that question as well, because of course now we are both in our 40s, right? So now the man that you're speaking of right now, that man should already be in that riding that wave right now as we're speaking. That man should be in that moment in his life right now.
Correct.
Meaning that you don't want someone who's a 40-year-old man who's, or whatever your age range is,
Be a rapper.
they're starting to
Trying to be a rapper,
right? You want someone who's already established, right?
Established enough, right? So, like, again, if he wants to be a CEO, for instance, I've already seen the progressions from where he is, again, from maybe middle management to senior management to director to whatever steps he's going to be able to do. Maybe he wants to be a partner of his firm or of, wherever he is. Like, he's doing the steps, and I can hear it in his voice when he talks about where he wants to be in 3 to 5 years, right? Like, it's a trajectory of up, and he's not like, I just want to be in the same position forever. I'm just not interested in that, because I'm always trying to get up, and I understand that things happen. I completely 100% get that. I'm going to get to your thing, Jeff Short. I see your message. But I think, to your point, yes, the men I would date would be 45 and above. Yeah. So they will be at a certain point that they are already going up.
Okay. So before you get to that comment, let me just go over a few things just to kind of not combat your list, but some things you said I kind of like as well. So for me, I'm looking for a lady who has one kid, maybe two if they was married, right? Meaning that one baby father or one ex-husband.
I'm with you on that. It's on my list.
Right. I can't be selfish and be like, no, she can't have no kids, and I got two. Now, granted, the reason why I can have two because I'm gonna take care of my two, but to add two more to that list,
that's a lot of people. It's on mouth.
That's a little too much.
Yeah. 6 people.
I can't do it though. It's not saying I can't do it. Women say, "Well, this is my kid." Stop right there, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, stop right there, ladies. Let's be very clear. As a mature man that I am, if you are a lady who has kids, you're a bundle package. All right. So regardless what you say out your mouth, I know that if you have two little ones, whatever, I know that I'll have to compensate for them as well, because that's part of you. So if a man ain't talking that to you, you might want to keep moving if they don't see your kid as a bundle package. So that. All right. So also to she need to have some of her own independence. And like I said, we're speaking to the 40 club and up, maybe late 30s and up, meaning that you should not be living home with your mom. That's not go for me.
What about generational homes? So to cut you, what about generational homes? I'm going to cut you a bit just because as a Caribbean person, as a West Indian person, generational homes is actually a thing. A lot of that in Jamaica, like if you go to Jamaica in the traditional homes, there are generations that live together. Even here in Toronto, I've got a couple of girlfriends who live in generational homes. Like it's their parents, it's them, it's their kids. They all contribute to the house. The house is paid off, right? And should the parents die, like they're gaining like a $2 million house. But they just prefer it that way because the kids are raised with the grandparents and all of that. What is it about them living under the same roof with their parents is a issue?
Well, when it's not that, right?
No.
When it's not the generation, it's I'm trying to get on my feet.
Oh, got you.
That's different from, this is a house that is actually being passed down to me.
Yeah.
The house is now in my name, and we have a big in-law suite, so we're not on over top of each other.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And that part is fine, but the woman I'm coming across, it's not that, right?
I get that. I get that.
Yeah. So, that's a small number. We're just saying, you know what I'm saying? Once again, on my list, and I'm sure as well on Toshiba's list, we're not speaking in absolute, right? So that scenario is a small one-off thing that does happen, right? And you're correct. It's usually with the islanders or,
Yeah.
people from different countries. You know, something just don't happen here in America. Americans don't do that. Don't know why, but they don't. But anyway, as for you know, little educated, have a established job, right? Meaning that she has been working in this career more than 5 years. Because that's going to show me that she now stay consistent with a job and build in XYZ. When you just keep jumping job to job, that doesn't show stable to me. But I'll land my plane there. Just a few of those things.
I love that. Okay, before we go into that, there's a couple of things. I won't lie. I'm guilty of certain things, so I definitely would not meet your list. I am a person who, like, every 3+ years, I actually get a new job. Generally, I think the current position I'm in, I would stay in for a while, just because I actually really enjoy this job, and it's an accumulation of things I've worked for over the years. And so I'm finally in an organization that makes sense, but I have progressed. So if my organization is just flat and there's nowhere for me to go, somebody offers me $15,000 more, bye, I'm out. Especially if I think that there's an upward progression. I'm not leaving for the same level. I'm usually leaving for another level. So,
Well,
anyways, Jeff has said,
yeah, now that's fine, and that's still a one-off. Okay.
Yeah. I'm not getting fired and then like I'm not a greeter at Walmart. No offense to greeters at Walmart.
Right.
No disrespect taken. Jeff said it's 2024 and it's time to throw away the list. I think there's a difference in having standards and finding someone who checks all the boxes of a list. Now, Jeff, you're right. I am not necessarily personally, I'm going to speak for myself. I forced Twins to do a list, so Twins probably doesn't have to answer this, but I think for me, I think the biggest thing was and again, we had a show about this where I talked about I was being chased by my wants and getting into a relationship with men who were more my wants, but not my needs. And so the things on this list, there are a few, and Twins will know which one that there is, that I don't necessarily need, but I want. But most of these things I know, for me, in terms of where I see my life and where I see myself going and my own ambition, I know that if I don't see these things in a man and I don't get these particular things in a man, it's not going to work. Now, I don't expect to get everything on this list. But when I started creating this man in my mind, I do believe in the 80-20 rule. So I'm not going to get everything in my list, but I wanted to make sure that when I was in a vetting situation, when I was going out with someone, there were certain key points that I was looking for, because I will be honest, previously I was, I got the big shiny toy and I fell for the big shiny toy, but the big shiny toy was not my needs, it was my wants. And we all know what happens when you're a kid with the big shiny toy. You play with it for a bit and then you put it away. Right? Like the kids will sometimes play with the boxes more than they play with the thing in the box, right? And I didn't want my life to be where either I was somebody's shiny toy all the time or that man was my big shiny toy. And I really needed to focus on the fundamental characteristics of a man that was important for me to live happily, hopefully ever after. So hopefully, Jeff, that kind of answers your question. I agree. It is about standards, but sometimes standards are also conflated, right? So anywho, I'm going to go a bit more into my list. Where I left off was long-term relationship. So other things on my list, I would like a man with no more than 2 children with one mother over the age of 16. I was very particular about this part. I don't care for young kids. Loves to travel, adventurous, likes a challenge, likes fine things. He has good family values. That's really important to me, because coming out of situations with men who may not have had a solid family foundation, I see the impact that has had in terms of them trying to lead the relationship. And some of the unhealed, again, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago in terms of being unhealed. And notice I didn't say come from a traditional family, because that's very different, right? I understand that you can be raised well and not have a potential father, biological father in your home, but you can have father figures or men who stepped up and showed you what it was like to be a man. But I need a man who has that. I need a man who can point to 3 to 5 men in his own life that he looks up to, right? Like who were a part of creating who he is, whether that's a coach, whether that's an uncle, whether there's something. But to have no men and just be surrounded by a bunch of women, I do not want to date a man ever again who's just surrounded by a bunch of women. I'm just not interested, and we can talk about this further. Now, this is where I ask for a want and not a need. I prefer my man to be over 6'3". We can talk about that more. I like him to be athletic, and I'd like him to play a sport, basketball or football. I'd like him to work in the corporate world, and I'd also like him to have a beard. Now, these are some of the things that are on my wants list, not my needs, but I put them down anyways. That is where I pause. Any questions or comments about that part of my list? Twins, Jeff, or Mr. if you're on.
Football,
I know, go ahead.
football, hold on, football or basketball?
Yes, I want a man who's still athletic, right? Like I go to the gym 5 to 6 days a week. I want to join a running club. Like there are certain things, like I want to start taking dance again. Because my daughter's a competitive dancer. I used to be. So I want a man who's doing his own ish. Like I'd like him to be part of a league. Maybe he has a league at work or a league with his boys, but he's active in doing so. That's the type of man, because I want us to work out together. I want us to do that thing. I want to go cheer him on at his games. Like I like that type of stuff.
But the
want.
No, I get it. So, but the football part,
I like football.
which is great. But we're talking about football and someone who's in the late 40s. More likely, this person hasn't is not a professional pro, meaning that he's not in the NFL currently, right? And if he was, he'd be retired anyway because 40 is too old. The point I'm trying to make is, so are we talking about flag football? Or are we talking about
whatever type of active football men do? Now, again, so there's a difference between American football and what we also call football. So Jamaicans call what you guys call soccer football, like we call it football. Like what you call soccer is what we call football. So there's American football, which is ridiculous. I don't understand how you would literally kick it once and it's football, but I digress. So either American football or soccer football. But I want him to be, the key is I want my man to be active. Like I don't want to be in a situation where we're having to deal with ourselves, dealing with dementia or whatever, because we just were inactive. Like I just don't want that lifestyle. I want us to be doing active things. I want to be out doing active things, running, whatever. Like I don't care if he swims. Maybe he's a swimmer. Maybe it's not basketball or football. But I want him to get out of the house and to do something, especially if it's a league thing, because then he's around other men. And you hope that, again, good influential men. I think that's important.
No problem. I just want to make sure, because with American football, injuries happen. And how do you feel about taking care of a man who can't walk, needs help, carry to the bathroom, carry out his bed, all that? Because that's the American football. Now, soccer, I understand that, because that's a lot of running. That's different. I understand
but
that part.
But if he's athletic, are you getting injured playing American football? Because I mean, they're all in their 40s.
Oh, yes. If we're playing American football in the age 40 and up, you're going to get hurt.
Okay, your Achilles and stuff?
Yes, you want to pour a hamstring, Achilles, break bones, all that.
But if he's already athletic and working out and he's already running, he should be fine.
No, I know guys who were very athletic. Some did even play American arena football, in the late 30s, still pull hamstrings, still break a leg.
Oh yeah, I don't want that. I don't want him breaking leg. I mean, I would take care of him.
That's why I was asking, like, because my follow-up question to that was that. So how are you when it comes to nurturing that man?
No, I'll take care of him.
Huh?
But it has to be something he loves. Like I'll take care of him. Like I have friends now in their mid to late 40s who are still in a basketball league, right? Like they play every Mondays or Sundays or whatever they do. They do, tournaments. They do all kinds of things. So for me, I think it's an active man. I want a man, because I have an active lifestyle. I try not to be sedentary. So ideally, I want a man who's active.
Which is nothing wrong with that. I could just say, I just want to throw it out there. So I forgot that you're the island girl. So football, I know which is in soccer, so I get that. My apologies. I did forget that for a minute. So I just need clarity on that because everybody said they want something until they get it. And it's like, because I heard stories of women who are tired of taking care of their man because he's a big guy and she a little lady, and it ain't fun every day trying to carry him around, help him get out the bed, help him get out in the shower. It gets tiring after a while. That's why I just was serious about that. All right, anyway, so said just now that's a good thing about the being athletic, right? Because when I look at my list as well, I want a lady who's just as active as me as well. Like I do like 5K runs, I do Spartan runs, obstacle runs when you roll in the mud, crawling on the stuff, swimming, that stuff. I do those things too. So I definitely want a woman who's equally yoked as me when I do those type of things. Like I would like for my lady to come running with me. She don't gotta do everything, but she just be there, right?
Does she have to roll in the mud?
No, she won't have to unless she wants to.
Okay.
And actually, I hope she don't. You know why? Because she'd be my camera girl. She'd get all the good video. She hold the camera. I jump in the water. So perfect. Hey, have my own personal camera person. I'm cool with that. But also, like you said, the main thing is really staying active. I'm very, my father died at the age of 45 because of bad health, right? Oh. So with that being said, I'm definitely big on staying active and moving around, and I would like my lady to be active. She don't got to do everything I do, but she got to have she has to have her own drive. I can't be the force of her. Come on, man, get up, let's go. I want her to beat me outside. Like, oh, shoot, let me get my clothes on. Hold on, babe, wait for me. Like, I don't want to be the person that have to motivate her to do it. So, like, if me going forward, I want a woman who's kind of a gym rat. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, all right, cool. She's already in the gym. That's what I want to as well, because she's already out there. I'm gonna get it with her, and we're gonna be both looking bad together in our bathing suits when we travel. Anyway, I'll land my plane, but I'm cool.
That, and I think that's the key is I don't want to have to drag somebody to do something that they don't want to do. Like that's why for me, if my man is already athletic and being an athlete, even whatever sport he played, like I ran track. Track was my thing, and I still run. Not as often as I want to, so that's why I want to join a running club next summer, because it's going to get cold here in a couple of months. But right, like I just want to do things that I would normally have done, and I want somebody again who's got that mindset already. And there's something about, honestly, I think that there is a correlation of success, and I might be wrong because I've not done any studies of that, but I think there's a correlation of success between people who were athletes growing up and continue to be athletes in some ways as we got older. Because when you're in athletics, whether it's team sports or whatever else, and it's generally team sports, it teaches you certain things about life and it builds certain character traits that I think rolls over into the rest of your life. And so for me, when I think about the other parts of my list about ambition and drive and so forth, well, most of the athletes I know are ambitious and driven and all of some of the early things that I talked about, because of the fact they were always striving for something, right? Whether it was that AAU tournament that they did as a kid, or going into Division I and playing basketball, right? Like they were always trying to get something, but they also understood teamwork, right? They understood perseverance. There were certain aspects that they had that if you maybe didn't play sports, you may not have those same character traits.
That's
and you
fair.
agree with me. So I love that. Okay. Let me see the rest of my list. Where am I at? Whew, God. Okay, so this is, I want a man who's a bit cultured. So I'd like him to like museums and arts galleries and sport events. This list was very specific. I like him to like concerts as well. He's willing to try new things. That's important. I love my man black, so blackity black. Whether you light skin, you dark skin, my man just needs to be black. I don't do the others. He's got chiseled features. No vices. I don't want smokers. And I don't want somebody who's got a drink every weekend. It's not my thing. I wrote connoisseur of fine things, so he can teach me things. I want to be a learner. I want him to teach me things. He loves working out with his partner. We just talked about that. He will support my creative endeavors. That was important to me. He has a take charge attitude. And he has a great sense of humor, and he's also well spoken. That's pretty much my list.
Is that everything?
Yeah, pretty much. Some of the other stuff we don't need to read.
Oh, okay. I understand. I got it. So I mean, that's not bad at all. I mean, the last few things you just went over was not bad at all. Let's throw in there as well. And maybe I had this problem because it's on my side talking to women as well. Someone who's financially conscious. I know it's not a standard word, something like that. I say conscious because I have been talking to a lot of ladies who make great money,
Mm-hmm.
but as far as like their savings, horrible at. And it's like, so what would happen in a scenario where, you got a flat tire, you know what I'm saying? And you need to buy it now. And they're like, oh, I got credit cards. That's a problem right there. Like that should not be your go-to. Especially, and like I said, they're making great money. Like you're making over 6 figures and you have to rely on a credit card. That's a problem to me. Especially now, because now I'm older as well, right?
Yeah.
And I'm in a point in my life, if I want to be like, hey, Toshiba, next week, matter of fact, this week, I'm going to come up. Is that cool? Yes. Boom. That's it. Like, I don't have to be like, oh, I got to wait 2 weeks to save up. Oh, I got to find some money. I got to pull things here. No. That's how I want to be going forward, right? Hey, babe, let's go to Paris next week. Like that. All I need to do is get the days off. You off? Off? All right, let's go. I got my passport. Let's go.
Here's and I love that because I'm going to be very forthcoming. That's something that was a challenge for me. And we talked about it in the beginning that I'm moving. And one of the things that I said when I was looking for a place is I wanted to be able to pay significantly less than I'm paying to live right now, because I had some 2-year goals that I wasn't going to meet if I continued to live at the level that I was living, right? And this is Toronto, so Toronto is super expensive. And I was like, do I need the 24-hour concierge? No. It's nice. As a single woman, I won't lie. There's a single woman, there's certain concessions I've had to make, right? And I'm also a single woman with a daughter, right? Like, and my daughter is still just a young adult. And so part of my protection has been like, I kind of insulate us in these condos where, again, we have security and all of that stuff. But I was also like, if I'm lucky, I have another 30 years left in me. And so if I had to make sacrifices for 2 to be able to bring my lifestyle down so that I can meet some of those goals that I have, some of those maybe 5-year goals a lot faster, I needed to take a look at my financial situation and like bring it maybe 10 or 20% down to ensure that I can meet some of the goals faster. But to that point, it's like, how quickly are we vetting our partners financially? Because there's, to your point, there is what we make and there's what we save. Plus, there's also our credit score, right? Does credit score play a role in the person that you want to date? Is that something that you are talking about? And if their credit score is not ideal, but you see them working on it, like, I think these financial conversations I find, even especially amongst Black couples, because I will tell you, I learned so much from my best friend being married to a Jewish person, and things that they do, we can learn from. A Jewish mother has access to her children's bank account information, and they have access to their parents, and they talk about money openly. It is an open conversation about money, about what they're investing, what they're saving, how much they make, like a plan. Like, this is like a family situation, right? Whereas I feel like within our communities, and it doesn't matter what cultural communities we're from, money is something you don't talk about, right? Like, it's a hush-hush situation. But to your point, we're in our 40s, and I would like to retire, if I'm lucky, by 55, 60. Like, I'm not gonna, in Canada here, at 65 is like the prime age. I don't know in America, is it 65 as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's say in both of our countries, you're looking at 65 as that prime number. But let's say I only have 10 good years left in me after 65. So I would have worked all this way to retire. Like, I'm just not interested. But so I now need to start thinking I'm at the back end of my work. So what do I need to do to make sure that I can live the dream that I want to live? But how quickly do we disclose our financial situations to a potential partner? And do you wait until you're in relationship headed to marriage? Like, what does that look like?
Oh, no. We
He
have
said no.
no. We had this conversation about finances before we even get to boyfriend and girlfriend status.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, once again, we grown. This like I said, this ain't the 20-year-old young puppy love. This is like, listen, I'm 40 plus. You know I don't got another 40 years. I want to enjoy the last couple of years. You know, now if I live to be 100, cool, but I want to be a healthy 100. But anyway, no, we have this conversation right away. Now, I may not ask you what your credit score is, right? Cool, that's a little too personal.
yeah.
That's maybe once we get to boyfriend level, girlfriend level, whatever, my relationship level, I'll ask for the credit score. But while we're communicating, because that's the very, very basics of any relation is communication.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I might ask a general question like, all right, how much you have put to the side for a rainy day?
Oh,
Oh, man.
you going there.
Yeah. Oh, I only got, $500. And because mind you, most when I speak to, when I'm talking to them and we talking about, getting to know each other, we're talking about our jobs, our careers, ladies like to poke their chest out, like, yeah, I make this X amount of dollars for this long, and I got this type of car, I pay this a month out. Cool, which is all cool. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But when I ask you, okay, well, how much you put to the side then? When it doesn't match up, I'm like, that's a problem to me.
Are women actually revealing how much they make? I don't think I've ever told a man outside of a man I've been in a relationship, but definitely not a man I was dating. How much money I make. Are women really in this talking stage saying I make this amount of money?
They don't come out and say the exact number, right? Right. But they'll indicate they're a 6-figure XYZ from there. And mind you, think about it. That's the talks that we're getting now, that women are leading with their accolades that men we don't really care about, right? And then when we do care about those accolades and we challenge on that, then you got the blah blah. Well, I'm a bad spender. You know what I'm saying? You can make this 6 figures, cool, but what you
bad spender?
but you can make all the good money, but what you have put to the side for a rainy day? That's the problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was able to put a good amount of money away with a whole family for emergency rainy day. Okay. And you just, you may be a single mother taking care of one child or no kids at all, and you're making great money, but you have nothing put to the side for a savings. That is a problem. Or think about this. Think about you. You about to move.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, I'm pretty sure you have help, but let's say you didn't have help or somebody didn't know, could you go ahead and not buy or pay
we'll have to pay
movers?
for people, some big strong men to come help me move my shit.
I mean, do everything. I mean, come wrap it up, pack it up, take it, move it out, move to the new place.
Yeah, I have to pay for that. Luckily, I've got people, but yeah, because I looked into that because I didn't want to inconvenience anybody. Be like, what will the average mover cost? And it was all this, per distance, how far they had to go, blah, 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 blah. But I had to factor that into my moving costs, right? Because here in Canada, you have to pay first and last before you get to move in. So it isn't like you're paying a security deposit. So let's just say your first month, your rent is $2,500. Before you get keys, you're paying $5,000.
Yeah.
Then plus, right? If you move into a bigger place, do you need new furniture? If you're throwing things away, like moving, I hate it. And I pray I don't have to move for several more years once I move this time. But yeah, and I think that's something that we need to evaluate, and it's readiness for a relationship. I think what would be interesting I had to be very transparent. I had to do a readiness check with myself, and in the financial part, that's where I fail. Like, I score very low for myself in a readiness situation for a relationship, and that's why I even looked at me having to move as a bit of a blessing, because it forced me to look at that, right? Because I'm paying what I'm paying plus utilities, say plus city plus. And I was just like, girl, this isn't gonna work. This isn't like long term. This isn't gonna get you to the goal that you want to get to, which is financial freedom and living on somebody's island somewhere in a few years. So really look at your needs again versus your want, and how financially ready are you for the man on this list, right? I've talked about how great this man is on this list, but when I meet his standard, I think in physically, the men that are physically like women like me, I meet them physically. Education wise, I think, ambitious, all those things, but in the financial part, I would fail. And so that was my goal with moving, was that like I had to bring my lifestyle down so that in 3 years I was at my 5-year goal. You know what I'm saying? And I just needed to take certain steps. And I think that's I think a relationship readiness test would be interesting for women. I will say for women, because I'm a woman, for us to do. Are we really ready for the man on this list? I'm not, and I'm not afraid. I would have, maybe like a year or two ago, I would have lied and said, oh, of course I'm completely ready for this man. I've had to be very transparent with myself and said, if this man comes along and he has his own list, a list similar to you, and the financial part was on it, I'm not there. Now I have reasons, like I've had to start over. When I left my ex, as like I left everything behind. And I had to come back to Canada and, get a new place and pay for new furniture and do all of that cash, no credit card. Like it was all cash, and it was a lot of it. And a lot of it to get here. And so I had to take a few steps back. I had taken a lot of steps forward, and then I had to take a few steps back because of the demise of that relationship. But then I had to be honest and say, you're not in the best financial position for the man on your list. And I don't know how I would overcome that. So if I'm honest, if this man, this 6'3", athletic, ambitious, driven, goal-oriented man came into my life and he was looking for that woman that you described with, I am financially literate. I will give myself that. I'm learning a lot more. I'm trying to read more on that. Like I've made like credit scores and stuff really important for my daughter because I've made some missteps. And so like some of the things that I'm doing is to ensure that, those things can get to where I want them to be, investments and just different things that I'm doing. Those are things, trying to do more investment research and making sure that my daughter does the same, and protecting her credit score, and just different things that I'm trying to do differently. But I'm not sure that, if a man is looking for a woman with an 800 credit score, she's not me. And I just have to be honest with that.
Now, granted, in most cases, at the end of the day, it's not the end all be all. Like most men, like I'll say for me, we really don't care really how much money you make and stuff like that. It just really trying to get the idea of thinking how are you with money? Are you bad with money or are you good with money? Right? Can I trust you with, hey, babe, here's my bank confirmation, XYZ. I think gotta keep checking to make sure that you're not going to spend money on things that doesn't matter, right? So that's why that question comes up. Once again, most of the time we will take care of that. We'll handle that. Not an issue.
But at the same time, I think I think that was the key that you said, is financial literacy, right? Like I still have a spreadsheet. I have a budget. I do a budget 6 months out. So I'll sit down and I say I have a budget from July to the end of the year. And I know exactly how much money is coming in, and that I budget how much money is coming out. So I budget a certain amount on groceries and miscellaneous and entertainment and transportation. Like all these things are budgeted. And I don't care if I go to the dollar store and spend $1.35. Like that goes on my spreadsheet. And I even have to consider, like, if I want to go out, I look at my entertainment budget and see if it's the beginning of the month and I'm halfway through my entertainment budget. Well, girl, you better entertain yourself on some Netflix. Okay? You better Netflix and chill by yourself because no entertainment for you until maybe the latter part of the month, because you have gone through half of your entertainment budget. So that's important. And Love Can't Wait, you're very funny. I still can't believe you guys aren't together. There are a lot of people, for some reason, that think Twins and I are together, and we are not. We are not together. I think maybe, I don't know what you guys see that we don't see, but we're not together. We're just great co-hosts, and we do the damn thing.
You know what? You won't believe how many conversations I get. Like, is that my wife? Like, no.
Really?
Yeah, I do. You won't believe how many some I get these conversations after the show, or like, is that your wife? Like, no, it's not my ex-wife. No.
That is funny.
No, we have not.
I don't know what everybody's seeing that we don't see, but we are great co-hosts and we're killing the show together. Before we go any further, I wanted to, Mr. is not on tonight. I don't see him commenting. But Mr. Oh God, Mr.'s list is killing me. Okay, so this is one of our very loyal subscribers on this show, Mr. And this is his list. He's looking for a woman who is feminine, who's emotionally stable, who's pleasant to be around, who has a triple D to H bra size. What?
That's his preference.
That is 130 pounds or less. Doesn't drink, smoke, or do.
You said
130 pounds or less.
But hold on, 135. Hold on. Hold on. 135 pounds. But
130 pounds or less.
She gonna have a bad back. Like, hold on. Like, that's not. Yeah, with
the triple D or H breast, and as somebody who has that size breast, I can tell you, I don't know if I could have these breasts and this ass on 130-pound frame. But listen, this is Mr.'s list, okay? He also says, again, doesn't drink, smoke, or do any drugs. She has no kids because Mr. also has no kids. No debt, which gets to what we were talking about, especially non-student loan debt. Who's adventurous. Now, this is where it gets tricky. He wants her to have 3 bodies or less. And everything else is negotiable, he said.
Well, my brother, I wish he was online.
Me too. Mr. Where you're at?
The 3 body part, good luck, sir. Good luck. Good luck. She'll have to be a monk or something somewhere. Good luck. No, that's impossible.
Now it is again, Uncle Kevin Samuels just to say probability or possibility. Now, is it likely? No. It is maybe possible if you find a woman who had a high school sweetheart, who then married her university sweetheart and was with him for 15, say, years or something, and then they didn't have any kids. And then maybe after the divorce, she dabbled with some other man. That might get you your three bodies, but that's gonna
be like 4 or 5
in North America. I don't know. There are some countries, and I think Mr.'s made it very clear he's open to dating women from other cultures and other countries. So I think maybe in some more traditional countries, if he was looking outside of maybe marrying a Black woman, maybe he'll look at some Asian cultures, so Filipino women or Cambodian or whatever, or some African cultures, maybe the Muslim religion. If you're certain religions, maybe the Muslim woman. So I think, again, he is now taking it from this, but I think that's what lists do. I mean, that's what my list did. I have 6'3" and over on my list, so I ain't nobody to talk. The 6'3", they're not just a bunch of 6'3" men walking around. Now, I happen to have dated several of them, but they're not like average. So you go, Mr. I am going to actually, Jack Spade is actually making a couple of comments that I think are interesting. And so let's talk about it. So Jack Spade said, funny how these spreadsheets go out the window when another income comes into a person's life. Well, Jack Spade, then that should not be the type of woman that you're dating. Because if I had someone who made, even if it was exactly how much I made right now, we would live extremely well. And so my goal, this is my ultimate goal when I get into a relationship, is for us to live off of one income. That's my goal for a period of years. So let's throw out a number. Let's just say I'm making $85,000 a year. You will never know if that's how much I'm making, but let's just say that's how much I'm making. So let's say I'm making $85,000 a year and my partner makes $100,000 a year. So now we're talking about a combined income of $185,000. Now, if I, as a single woman, was living fairly well on $85,000 a year, and I now have $105,000 or $100,000 coming on, that means that we can continue to live well on $85,000. Because in my situation, my daughter is older, right? Like, unless he's coming with some crumb snatchers, and I don't date men with little children, our children should be grown, so then I don't have to worry about that. So my goal in my next relationship is whatever lifestyle we're living, we're able to live it off of one income and save the other income for our pleasures. So whether that's saving, investment, to your point, let's go to Paris in a month, next week, whatever, like, we have the ability to do that. Where, you know, if we have to consolidate some of our things, if, you know, if credit needs to be worked on, then we're dealing with that aspect for the future. But it doesn't mean now we have 185,000, we're living $185,000 lifestyle. Like, no, we're living an $85,000 lifestyle. And I would actually choose the lesser income. And I think what a lot of people do is they switch it the other way and say, yeah, let's live on one income, but they're living off the higher income. I think it's easier to live off the lower income and then save the higher income. And then even figure out how we can do some tax shelters, right? What are some things that we can do to shelter our money from tax? Like, those are the things that I'm thinking of, because again, we are at that age. Like, if I was 20 something, this conversation wouldn't be happening. Our brains are not even developed until we're 25, right? So, but as a 40 something year old woman, as much as I would like to think that someone is going to come and save me, it's just not realistic, right? And now I'm not saying that we're going 50-50. I'm not even saying that. But I'm saying that we take a look at, here's our financial situation, but here is our financial goals. That's the part. Do you and your partner have financial goals, and what does goals that look like? One of my goals is to move out of North America. I'm not retiring in Canada. I'm going to be on somebody's island. I'm going to be walking out of my house and picking coconut and mangoes in 10 years. I don't know what island that's going to be. I don't know if it's mine or somebody else's, but I want to be on an island with my husband, and we can walk around, to your point, looking sexy in bikinis and trunks and living our best life. Well, that's going to take some sacrifices. And one of the sacrifices is, now we're not going to increase our lifestyle. We're just going to live our lifestyle here. So when we go on that island and we have that money, we're living like kings and queens, because it's not the same amount to live in Panama as it is to live in Toronto, Canada, or Atlanta, Georgia. Jack Spade also says, how would he even know how many bodies does that person have? Living in a town larger than 5K, all bets are off, you'll find out. That is something that I've talked about too, Jack Spade. Like, when does that conversation come up, talking about, hey girl, I really like you, but how many men have you slept with?
That never comes up, right? That never comes up. The actual how many. It's just the conversation. As you keep going down that sexual conversation, you start asking about certain things, and unintentionally, you ladies will start telling on yourself.
Shut up your mouth, ladies. Shut your mouths. Stop telling him about you going to the swingers party. He doesn't need to know.
The swingers part, whatever it may be, eventually you're gonna say things that's going to incriminate you. It's just that simple. Especially if you travel, especially if you went to college, it's impossible to be like, oh, I've only been with 3 people. That's lies and that's cap. So
that would definitely be cap for me.
Yeah.
Even though I tell my daughter's father that he is the only one that has irrevocable proof that we've ever slept together because I have a daughter that looks just like him. She stole his face. So my daughter's father is the only man who has irrevocable proof that we've slept together. But we'll leave that there. Thank you, Jack Spade. He said, side note, I'm not talking about your spreadsheet, but I've heard tales of the spreadsheets dating back to 1987 after graduating from college. Jack Spade, if you are online and you are interested in joining the show, please scroll up and I have the link to join the show in the comment section because I'd like to hear a little bit more about that because I'm a huge, I think for myself, I do that because I want to hold myself accountable, right? You know, that nasty word I talk about, like accountable. It's like a nasty word these days, telling women to hold themselves accountable. But I want to hold myself accountable. So when I do join forces with another human, and come on, God, dead daddy, that I am in a position where when we sit down, we can have an honest conversation about what that is. And that is what I will say about my ex and I, is when we sat down, we talked finances, like spreadsheets and those things about, you know, where we wanted to go, where we were now, some of the steps that we would need to take to get to where we want. But that's a difficult conversation to have.
I don't think it's difficult. Not if you guys are planning. Like, once again, communication is so key. So if you guys are get to the point where y'all know, listen, this is gonna be a long term, like you know, it's like we're gonna be together. We gotta get through these hurdles, whatever it may be. That conversation is not a hard conversation. Like, I had a conversation, you know, saying like, listen, let's focus on getting your student loans paid off so we can free that money up and then we can tackle another bill. Like, you do my bill, I do your bill. We go back and forth, each other taken care of, because, you know, we may have business that we want to do together, right? So we got to get those things taken care of so we can do those businesses. But that only happens once y'all both establish a great conversation where you both are heading. You have to be going to the right direction. It can't be, oh, we just going with the flow.
Oh, no. Yeah, I'm not flowing. I'm not flowing. I am 44 years old. Let me just tell you something, men out there. Toshiba Billings is not flowing with you, okay? We're not flowing. If you want flow, go get some flow water, okay? But I am not flowing with you. And ladies, stop giving a vagina to men who are talking about, let's just see where things go. Let's go with the flow. And then you know what you do? You go with the flow and you give him your vagina, and then your flow doesn't come, and you have a baby for a man who was just going with the flow, and then you're mad. But guess what? He said, let's go with the flow. And you said, okay. And then party done.
Message.
I'm not flowing nowhere. I'm not flowing. If you are not a man, this is why I talk about intentionality. We will say this over and over again on the show. Intentionality is a huge thing. If you're in a space that you want to be intentional, stop dating people who are talking about, I'm going with the flow, even if they meet all these things on your list. If a man says to you, you know what, you're great, but let's just go with the flow, it means you're great for now. You do not meet the things on my list. You're cute enough for me to take out and have fun with, but I'm not going to marry you. You're just not it. But you, and I think that's the mistake we make as women, twins, before you comment. The man meets everything on our list, but we don't think about, do we meet the things on his?
Message. Well, that is a true. Ladies, what she just said is absolutely correct. A man that wants you, he's going to make sure to lock you down. He's going to be very intentional about everything he do. He's going to make sure he's going to clear off his roster, whatever he got going on. He's going to show you that it's all about you. When you say, hey, I'm just going with the flow right now, you know, there's some, like you just said, there's some things you're hitting, but you ain't hitting everything. But I don't want to let you go, and I want to have I want to have all the fun with you until I get the one I want. I mean, that's the work. Listen, we have to be like, this show is talking about solutions, and you gotta have these hard, tough conversations. But that's what it really is. A man who really wants you, he's gonna prove to you that he wants you. So that's it.
Yeah,
Like,
so no clothes, lady, because I don't, and I think that's why we hear. Like, I had to unsubscribe from a few channels because I realized just how toxic some of the content on some of those channels were, because it was constantly the messaging of blame and victimhood, and why the other person was never at fault for the demise of their relationship. And it was like, can we really start holding ourselves accountable, especially you ladies who keep making decisions over and over again, choosing the same type of men, of which I've been guilty of. Listen, my girlfriends have been honest with me. Girl, you know what? You don't need a man who's 6'3". You just need a good man. Just get you a good man, girl. A good man. Does he have to be 6'3"? No, he doesn't. He doesn't need to be 6'9", Sheba. Don't need to be 6'5". Just a good man who's going to treat you well. And I'm like, I hear you, girl. I hear you. So I'm having these conversations, but guess what? My ass, if there's two men and one's 5'11" and one's 6'3", and the 5'11" man is probably closer to this list than the 6'3" one, I'm going to be tempted to choose a 6'3", 6'4" one. I'm not going to lie. But guess what? If I get the same results, I can't be mad at 6'3", because 5'11" was there. And he was a damn good man. Right? He's a good man, Savannah. He's a good man. Waiting for a sale. But, right, I'm going to have to blame myself. And my girls are going to be like, here we go again. We freaking told you. You didn't need to do that. And so I'm in a place where my accountability circle are my friends. And if I am in a place where I'm stuck between two men, I'm just going to give them the traits of these men, and they're going to meet these men, and they're going to evaluate, and they're going to come back to me with something that ain't got nothing to do with height, but just how does he treat our best friend? And often we're not looking at that. We're looking at some of the superficial stuff because, again, he suits our list. But I think we fear having a conversation with a man to find out what is exactly on his list. Oh, Jack Spade. Jack Spade's got something for me. Jack Spade, I think you might be coming for me in this comment. Okay, so Jack Spade says, some of these lists are head scratchers. I want a man who's over 6 feet because I want to wear heels, but she's 5'4". Don't come for me, Jack Spade. Don't come for me.
Message.
Don't come for me. Don't come for me. I feel targeted, but that's okay. I am 5'5". Okay, I am.
Hey, Jack, I had the same conversation with her, Jack. Salute, my brother. I had the same conversation. How tall are you? 5'4". So 5'11", a 5'10" is you still taller than you. But I digress.
And you are right. There is nothing about it. Is a head scratcher. I don't need to have the fact that my man should be 6'3" on this list, but I do. And when I thought about this list long and hard, I said, girl, don't put that on this list. I said, don't put it on the list. But guess what? Guess what, Twins and Jack? That's what I like. Okay? Mr. wants Triple D to H-Express and a woman who's 130 pounds or less with 3 bodies or less. So and here's the thing. The difference between a Mr. I know he go watch this and comment and he go probably cuss me up. The difference between me and Mr. is I have dated 6'7", 6'5", 6'11", 6'9", and not just dated. My daughter's father is 6'7", my ex-husband 6'5", and I have 2 previous ex-fiancés 6'4" and 6'9". And so therefore, not only have I attracted those men, they've also committed to me. I don't know if Mr. is going to find this woman with the 3 bodies or less with Triple D to H-Express who's 130 pounds or less. But I think I'm going to get 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". I'm just saying, y'all gonna see. Watch.
He may not get that, but when we look at your track that you just went over, what is the common denominator?
Oh my God, I know. My girls have told me, and I am not listening. The common denominator is the relationships have failed with these 6 foot and over men. Here's the thing. I talk a good game. I know the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. However, okay, I like what I like. But it's just like men who are attracted to me. There's some men who are attracted to me because Body wise, I'm the type of woman that they usually date, right? They want a woman with thick thighs, big bum, small waist, and big breasts. That's me. They want a woman with great facial features. They want, like, if a man wanted a woman with natural hair, he may not date me. Do I have natural hair? Yeah, I don't wear it. Right? So that I'm not for him, right? And that's okay. I'm okay with that. So I don't see the thing about, like, the height thing gets us all the time, because I know a man cannot control his height. Like, I completely know that. And
Wow.
we can control our weight, which is, so ladies, I hate when ladies compare the two, because as someone who's in the gym, who has to work out, who does ridiculous things, I won't even talk about this on this live. Some of the things I have to do to make sure that I can keep this body together. We can definitely control our weight, and I get that a man can't control his height, but can I control who I'm attracted to? Like, if you're traditionally, so Jack and twins, if you traditionally like a woman who's shaped like me, right? She got it going on. Like, when you walk in the room, like, she's got the body of a well-paid stripper, okay? And you see a lovely lady who is 115 pounds, slim, you know, she's got a cute little butt, but like has B breasts and a cute little butt, but she's like fantastic. Are you settling down with her if you're surrounded by women who are traditionally what you like?
I wouldn't say settling, right? But if her personality is A1, like, there's some things I can compromise with. I can compromise with her body not being A1, whatever it may be, if she has a great personality. And plus, for me personally, I'm not in a competition. I mean, I am in a competition, but I'm not in a competition. I am not trying to compete with 50 other guys over one girl. Just saying, I'm not wasting my time. So if there's a lady out there that's the number one in the room, and everybody keep chasing, I'm good. Y'all can have her.
Oh my God, that's why I'm single.
I'm like, no. Not that I'm not confident enough to compete, but it's just like, no. At the end of the day, this might look better than me. Someone's taller than me, whatever it may be. I know I'm not the top of the crop, right? But I'm not gonna be stressing out and try to spend my money and like the simp dude. No, we're not doing that. But if the girl over here that has potential, and you know what, I can mold her if she's willing to listen X, Y, Z. Hey, I'll take the little small little booty and everything else and work with her.
I'm not there yet. I have not reached that level of maturity. And if that's one, I've tried. I am in my year of yes. I'm in my year of yes. So, and I have gone on meetups with men who don't. It doesn't do it for me. It doesn't do the thing, because my eyes are just naturally going up here, and I'm not there yet. But I am content with the fact that I may have to change some of these things, or I'm going to end up like Uncle Kevin says, and I just might need to buy a dog or a cat and die alone. But I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. Okay, I love this. Jack is answering my question. Thank you, Jack, for participating tonight. I appreciate it. So Jack says, if she's a good representative of me and she's on her square and she's tattoo free, interesting, and natural hair, she might get the ring. So Jack is single, ladies. So if you are a good representative of him, now what does that look like, Jack, being a good representation? Because you know what was so interesting? That in a previous relationship, that was a key part of what my partner said, was he was looking for a woman who was a good representation of him. And not just in physical aspect, right? Like, not two good people walking into a room, but if, you know, one of the scenarios he put is, if I had an important business meeting and I could not go, I could send you to that meeting with my notes and everything that I need, knowing that you would be going to represent my interest and not your own. and you would walk away out of that meeting having done so successfully, right? Like that was the key for him when we were having a conversation. So I'd be curious from Jack, like, what does a good representation of you look like? And I think sometimes that's something that us women miss is, again, to his list, do you represent that man well? Because there have been some pictures, and in the interest of time, I'm going to keep this brief, but there's some pictures going around on good old Beyonce and Blue Ivy's internet of women on dates with men in clothing that, to some of the people posting it or some in the comments, look like these women belong in a strip club and not on a date with a man. And so one of the things as a woman we need to be, and I'm going to go directly into my dating tips. So let's go into dating tips for the evening, and I'll wait for Jack to respond. But I think, ladies, you have to think about this list, because I'm going to keep it with the list. If you have a list of a man who is going to be the type of men that most women are going to want, because I'm not talking about some hood rat women. I'm talking to you, professional, well-spoken, mature, Black women who are in a space ready to be in a long-term relationship. And listen, I'm all about going up there and living your best life. And we all know, we've seen me on this show, I have no problems, showcasing what I got. But we do have to think about, if we want to attract a certain type of man, what does that certain type of man expect out of his woman? And I think we do a really bad job of doing that research. So I would say my dating tip is research the type of men you want through speaking to those men, whether they're men that you're romantically involved with or just simply men that you know. Because generally, again, birds of a feather flock together. So if you are an ambitious, driven, whatever woman, you probably have men in your circle, whether they're the husbands of your best friends or whomever, but really sit with those men and ask them, what type of woman do you settle down with? What made you settle down with my best friend, right? Like, what were the attributes and the characteristics that made you say, this is a woman that I wanted to marry? Because I don't think we do enough intel. We make these lists and they're great, and I can carry mine in my purse all the time. But if I'm not doing this intel with these men or the men on my list, I won't really have an idea of what kind of woman he wants. So ladies, again, think about the men on your list and the men that you want, and also find out what that man wants. But just because I think a lot of the times, and again, as attractive women, and I'm speaking to, those of us who are in that, attractive lane with the pretty privilege, sometimes we think being pretty is enough. And then we're pretty and we're smart and we're this. So we don't need to do the other stuff, right? Like, we just need to show up. And in today's society, that's just not enough. So figure out the list if you have one, figure out the type of men you want, but most importantly, figure out what that man wants in a woman and decide if you can be that woman. That would be my dating tip. Twins.
All right. So my dating tip also to the ladies as well. Listen to what he tells you. If he say he want to go with the flow, take it as he's just going with the flow. Men will tell you early in the relationship as far as what he really wants. And also, you have to also ask him, what does he want? You have to ask the question too. What do you want? What are you looking for? Like, have that conversation. Be intentional. And once again, we're talking to the mature adult woman at this point now. We ain't talking to the young ladies. We're talking about the mature ladies now, because you already had your fun. You already played around. You want to be with your king at this point now. So you got to put a little pressure on his neck. I mean, at the end of the day, it's still the man's call to make the final decision as far as you want to do, but put pressure on him and let him know what you want. And if that's not what he wants, then you got to let him go. Regardless, well, he looks good, he got this going on. Do you want to keep getting strung on, right? If you want that man, you want to be married, you want that future, you want to have that significant other, be intentional and put pressure on his neck.
Listen, you were preaching. I felt that advice to my soul. I'm going to actually comment on that after I see what Jack Spade has to say. But Ladies, listen to what Twin says, because you do not want to waste 2-3 years of your life going with the flow with a man who's not flowing with you. So Jack says, a good representative of me. She dresses her age. I'm always curious about this one because I don't know what age I dress. She's solid, her life decisions and results. I like that. She's comfortable with her flaws. Love that. And not trying to use her accomplishments to compete with mine. Ladies, hear that last one, because I hear that so much from men. Twins has talked about it. We've had another guest who actually talked about it on the show. Most of the men, that seems to be a bone of contention with men, is we using our accolades and our accomplishments. And I think we do it. And here's the thing, men, and I'm gonna speak to men. I think sometimes women do that as a way to feel like they're qualifying for you. Because let's think about it. A man who's driven, ambitious, who's goal-oriented, who's all of those things. As women, we are thinking, to my point earlier, just because I'm those things, I want those things, right? Like, let's be honest. What I want from a man is not necessarily what a man wants from me. A man might want me to be nurturing and kind and all of those different things. But because I'm ambitious and driven and so forth, I'm looking for the same things as a man. So when a woman who is all of those things meets a man who's all those things, I think in her way, she's trying to say, hey, Jack, Twins, I qualify for you because look at the stuff that I've done. Like, if I sat around and said, you know what, I'm an author, and everything I'm about to tell you is true. So I'm an author and I publish 7 books in 363 days, and I have 9 books on the market, and I'm working on a 10th, and I've successfully grown, 2 YouTube channels, and I have a radio show, and I work for the largest media arts organization in Canada, and I'm responsible for bringing 69% of their revenue in. All of the things that I'm saying right now are facts about me. They're facts. I've been the director, and I've established, from the ground up, sponsorship divisions wherein I have increased their gross profit margin by 23%. Like, I'm saying all of these things in my mind, thinking I'm qualifying for Twins because Twins is in the IT field, and he makes good money and is at this level. So this is also the type of woman, because we're going to be a power couple, not realizing that all those things I say, despite being true, are repelling you. Because you're like, whoa. Are you nurturing? Are you kind? Can you follow my leadership? Do you know how to cook? Are you family oriented? Like, I've told you none of that in my peacocking, right? I'm just going to put my wings out because I know I have to compete. And I haven't shown you my femininity. I've just come with all of this stuff thinking that's what I need to compete with to get your attention. Does that make sense?
Yep. Everything you said, everything you said, there was nothing that said you will be available for me.
I know. And that's why I don't lead with that stuff. I don't lead with that. Like, I just said a whole bunch of things. I don't think, I do have my book scrolling, but it's not often I'm like, hey guys, so I wrote 9 books. I'm working on 10. I will use it to promote, and I would do this, and it's just not something that I personally feel like I need to compete with. If it naturally comes up in a conversation about what do you do, I'll mention what I do, but I'm not going to throw in statistics and the strategic advantage of what? Nobody cares. I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to learn more about you. And I think that's the mistake that we make. To your point, is we give so much of ourselves right in the very beginning because we're trying to compete. But the reality is, it's just easier for us to have kind of that back and forth kind of lobby conversation and not give everything in the first date. Because if I did that, to your point, I don't get a second date. And I'd like a second date. So Jack Spade says, if a woman lists all of those things, my follow-up question would be, how do you feel about guns, dogs, motorcycles, hiking? Do you like local travel? And what's your work schedule days off? Hold on. So do you like that, Jack? Like I'd be curious to know, Jack, what I just, because Twins was like, absolutely, you're not getting a second date if you're throwing all of those accolades. But is that something, and I was just about to sign up, but now I'm very curious. Is that something that would make you give a woman a second date and a chance? And if so, why? What about what I just did would be appealing to you? Because even for me as a woman, I don't know how comfortable I would be putting that out in the beginning as my mating signal. Like that wouldn't be my mating signal. It would be something that maybe comes up later, right? As we're having conversation, and he talks about, Toshiba, what are some of your passions? Right. And I can talk about one of my passions is writing, right? I really enjoy writing. I found that it's cathartic. It helped me get through COVID. It was one of, the things that I turned to during COVID that helps me get through. What about yourself? But if he asked me to expand, oh, have you written anything? Have you ever thought about publishing things? Oh, great thing you asked. I actually, I've published several books online, right? Like, if ever you're curious, like Google me if you like, but I've said like it might come up in that way, but I wouldn't necessarily lead with it. But Jack, I'm going to give it a couple minutes to see if Jack responds, but I'd be curious to know if that's because maybe there are some men who are intrigued by a woman who leads with all of those things that I just said. But that almost sounds like a business partner, not a relationship. Like, I feel like what I just said, yeah, if I was looking for a business partner, me talking about, strategic initiatives and, returns on investments and increasing gross profit margins. And as much as I believe like a relationship is on some level a business, because you shouldn't get into a relationship with someone who you wouldn't actually trust to do business with. I'm a big believer in that. I'm not sure that me leading with that. So Jack, I'd be curious. I'm gonna give it another minute or so to see if Jack responds, but hold on. Oh, okay, he did. Here we go. Okay, I'm ready. Jack said there is only one woman whose accomplishments that will impress me, and that's Stephanie Wilson because she's been to space 3 times. So there I got my answer. Jack is not, I misread what Jack said. Jack is not impressed by none of the bullshit that I just spewed off. And so, ladies, you got your answer again. Yet another man on the show, Fuck Your Feelings, the show, is saying, stop leading with your accomplishments and your accolades because they don't give a fuck.
We do, and we don't.
Well, and where's the part, as before we end, where's the part where you do? Like, if those things that I said, came out in conversation. So the fact that I'm a published author, the fact that in my career I have, some status, and I've been able to do some really great things. When does that matter?
During the getting to know you stage. Oh, she's a book author. Oh, what's going on? Oh, you don't like that? Oh, that's cute. That's nice. Okay, cool.
I do that to dismiss people, but continue. We talk about
yeah. That's cute. All right, that's nice. Cool. But that's something I want to hear about every other day, though. Like, cool.
So you are intrigued by it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it speaks to maybe some of the things that are on your list. Because I will tell you, as a published author, it is not easy to write 7 books in 360 days. I'm just saying, I kicked COVID's ass. So it's intriguing. You see some qualities in there about me, but you don't want to hear every day. I wrote 7 books in 363 days.
I mean, and also what it does for you too, like, oh, good, she's a writer. So good. When I write something, I let her proofread it and take care of me. That's like, now you become my personal assistant.
That's what my exes did. That's what my ex did. I proved everything.
At the end of the day, we don't want a dummy, right? So, ladies, we don't want a woman who's stupid or don't. But once again, it's cool. You have the accolades. You write books. Good. We can use that. I mean, that's how we look at it. Okay, I could use her for not use her, but
no, I get it.
Right. But if we're a couple, okay, because you're gonna use me, right? So That's a critique skill set you got that I can lean on you heavily. I'm not a great person when it comes to writing stuff out. So I'll be coming to you with everything I write out. I don't care if it's one little email. Babe, can you proofread this for me, please?
Yeah.
That's your skill. And I'm glad I got that because now I got you. So
it makes me useful. It makes me useful in the relationship because you see where I fit a piece that might not be your strength, and that together it comes together. It's like a puzzle piece. And I think that's the point. We want to show that we're useful without making it into a bragging thing. And I think I'm a big person on playing off strengths and weaknesses in relationship, right? Where I'm strong, maybe you're weak, and vice versa. And so we want to show up as useful and valuable in someone's life, but not as if we're competing. Because what I'm hearing from men often is when we come in with peacocking, right? And that's what male peacocks actually do. They're the ones who put out their feathers. But when we come in peacocking, it almost looks as if we're trying to compete with our men, and men don't want women who are competing with them. At least that's the message I keep hearing when men talk about, the accolades conversation.
And also one other thing too as well, when it comes to your writing skill set that you do have, right? Because I'm gonna lean on you about that stuff like that. I don't want to hear about I spelled there wrong, like the THERE or THEIR. Like I don't care about none of that. That's why I got you for that. I want to hear like you don't know the difference between there and there. Let's not do that. Okay, let's not do that. Because if I'm doing public speaking and I say there, no one's asking you, is that THERE, sir, or is that TEIR? Is this the word there? Okay. If I say two, no one's asking me if I'm saying TWO or TOO or 2O. Let's stop it. So anyway, I just want to throw it out there because y'all ladies like to nitpick some of those things. You get an argument nighttime about you don't know the difference between this and this. Don't do that.
So we can be useful without making our men seem useless.
There you go. There we go.
I love it. Last comment, because we've stayed up a little longer than necessary, but Jack Spade says, all I want to know from a woman are things I listed. I'm more interested in if a woman has hobbies and if her hobbies mesh with mine.
Amen.
Amen. I like that. So another bit of advice to ladies in the dating stage, listen more than you speak. A man tells you a lot if we just sit back and listen and observe without going through like, this is my list. Through conversation and communication, which is the theme of season 6 of the show, is a man will tell you so much about what he's looking for and what he's not looking for when you give him an opportunity to feel safe, to be able to have these conversations with you. And this is Jack Spade's last comment before we sign off for the night. So Jack is saying now her accolades can be used to break the ice at a black tie gala with other wives, but for me, it's a whatever. I like that one. My ex has talked about that one as well, like bringing me into a room of his colleagues at the level that he was on. I could blend in. I could have conversations with the other partners. I could have conversations with the actual partners of his bank. I fit in very well, and me being accomplished with all of the things that I just listed are things that he can go and talk to his colleagues about at work, and they'll, oh, Toshiba, we hear you're a published author. That's amazing. Tell us more. But because that's helpful for him in his trajectory of where he wants to get in career. But again, I don't need to be talking about it with my man. Remember, babe, everybody loved the fact that I was an author. How come you don't? Right? The man doesn't want to hear that. I love that. Listen, people, like, subscribe, share. We are giving you some real stuff. We are talking about mature, adult, intentional conversation. I know we're not the salacious other things where you hear this dysfunctional Black love. That's not this channel. We are talking about, let's really try to change the conversation in Black relationships. And thank you for those who come in and interact with us. Again, make sure you're like, subscribing, and sharing. We will see you next week. If you have any comments about the show, feel free to leave it in the comment section. And Twins has got some last words.
Oh, hold on.
Mister!
Hold on.
Mr.
Minister,
Mister's here.
hey, listen,
Mister, we read your list.
listen. I got one question for you before we get up out here. This is for you, Mister. You want a woman who's 135 pounds.
130. 130.
I mean, 130 pounds with triple D's?
Triple D to H's.
Triple D H's.
To H's. Yep. He wants triple D's to H breasts, and she needs to be 130 pounds or less. Mister.
Hold on.
Twins has questions.
And on your 3 body count.
Yep.
Sir, you want to go to, let's say, Venus. You want to go to Venus because that's the only way you're gonna find that lady.
Mister, your boy Twins is coming for you this week. He said your list. Rewind.
Where are you gonna find that at, sir?
Yeah, here's your list, Mister. I read it. Thank you for sharing it. But yeah, we have some answers. We have some questions for you. And whether you come on this show or another show, we want you on the show, Mister, to talk about for the men, because there are men who have a very similar list to Mister. And for the men who have a very similar list, Mister might be able to share where in the galaxy this woman.
I mean, listen, your list was good. Everything else was spot on. I was just curious about that one thing. I'm like, where he's gonna find out at. So if you don't respond tonight, that's fine. We'll follow up with you next week because I want to know. And I'll bring it back up. Trust me, I won't forget 130 triple DH. Trust me, I won't forget that.
We want to know where in the galaxy. Okay, here he says. You're gonna come for me. I knew Mister was gonna come for me. Y'all need to stop coming for me tonight, okay? At least I am honest. Mister says, I want what I want. If you ain't gonna shame Toshiba for wanting a 6'7" plus, then don't shame me for what I love.
Hey, listen, she gets it every day.
Every time. Y'all, you guys don't know. I get it all the time.
Outside the show, she gets the shaming. But you know what? You're right there, my brother. You're right. You know what? Go and find that girl. Make sure you find 2 of them. 1 for me, 1 for you. Okay? How about that?
Make them be twins. Mr. said, don't come for me. Because Toshiba and her ridiculous list.
I know.
Okay.
Her 6'3", 6'5", 6'9", 7'10". I know.
Y'all coming for me.
She a whole 5'5".
Listen, I need more ladies to join this show and comment. I know y'all are watching. Join and come defend me. Damn it, I want what I want too, Mister. I want what I want. And it doesn't mean I'm going to get it, but I want what I want. He said, oh no, my brother, you got to find your own.
All right, I tried.
I love it, Mister. Listen, we need you to come on the show. We are challenging you. I think we would have a great conversation. For those of you who do want to join the show every week, I put the link to join the show in the chat. It is pinned at the top. So if you want to join the conversation, we would love for you to be on camera. But if you're not comfortable being on camera, that's fine. But join the conversation because we are literally trying to change the conversation around Black relationships one show at a time. So let's do it together. I appreciate you. I love all of you. We honestly appreciate the support. Jack Spade, Mister, thank you for commenting and making this show amazing tonight. Until next week, bye.
Peace.